What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. We are live today with a very, very special guest. I'm going to waste no time introducing him. Please welcome Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. What is going on, Ryan?
Dude, Tigo, thank you so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to talking some Jets.
Yes, always, always, always extra exciting because we had our babies 5 days apart, which is also really cool. We just spent the whole pre-show, instead of talking about what we're going to talk about in this show, talking about being new papas, because of course that's what you want to talk about. You want to talk about your kids, and it's super fun. But let's get to business. We are finally, thank the Lord, finally back to regular season football. And we have a pretty tough opponent facing us this upcoming Sunday. And thankfully, they're coming home. They're going to play up in New Jersey. But we got to face the Baltimore Ravens week 1. And I don't know about you, but personally, whenever I think of the Baltimore Ravens, I think most overhyped football team for no reason in the NFL. Like the same kind of love that Tennessee got like 2 or 3 years ago, where a lot of people were like, oh, these guys are frauds or whatever. And I was giving them love. I have the same thoughts about Baltimore. I look at Baltimore and I go, like, is this not the biggest fraud of an NFL football team right now? Like, what do they honestly have going for them? Truthfully, because I just don't believe in that, like that team as a whole. What are your thoughts about Baltimore? Do you think that they're being overestimated, underestimated, like as a whole big picture?
I've always really liked Baltimore. I really have. Specifically John Harbaugh. I thought for sure there was going to be a really good shot the Jets were going to get John Harbaugh. He was going to get fired, and then they wind up drafting Lamar, and I'm like, oh man, this is the last gasp. Like, the Jets just brought in, what did we get? Adam Gase. Was that the year we got Adam Gase? No, it was the year after. I was like, oh, okay, you know what? Maybe they go through this year. The wheels fall off for Baltimore and the Jets get him. Bowles is gone. And then we wind up getting Adam Gase. And I'm like, all right, great. Well, Baltimore, you look at their team across the board. They're always stout on defense. They're always good at running the ball. And they're always like, it just feels like they're well coached all the time. And you look across the board, they just have talent at like every position. Their defense is filthy. They just got hampered by a ton of injuries last year. I really like Lamar Jackson. I think he is a top 5 quarterback in this league, and I think he's every bit as lethal as any other quarterback that you could go up against, with the addition of just like stupid fast legs. Like, I think for me, Lamar Jackson is the closest thing we have seen to Michael Vick since Michael Vick. Like, as much as we've had other running quarterbacks, like the way that Vick ran on a football field where it was like, dude, this guy's a video game character. Lamar Jackson is that video game character in today's NFL.
See, I agree with the first half of what you're saying. Like, Harbaugh is an incredible head coach. And when he was on the chopping block, I was in that same kind of boat where it was just like, yo, if Harbaugh gets fired, as much as I wasn't like totally like fire Todd Bowles in that era, I was like, he hasn't been given much to work with and our defense hasn't been bad. Like, his side of the ball is kind of winning. I was okay with keeping it going with Todd Bowles in that situation, but I was definitely on board with hey, if Todd Bowles gets sacked here, or if Harbaugh gets sacked, we should definitely go for that, because that's a winning coach, understands building a culture. But my thing comes to the Lamar Jackson, which is I just don't believe in him as a quarterback. Like, there's a reason they don't have wide receiver threats in that room. Like, if you look at any other team in the NFL who has a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, what is the one thing that everyone is trying to do? Every player, every free agent is trying to get on that team. Wide receivers were flocking to get to Los Angeles once they got Matt Stafford. Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, and people are taking minimum wage contracts to play in Tampa Bay. Buffalo, the same thing. They go and they explode. Now they've got so many good wide receiver weapons that they're bringing in free agency and that they're drafting and that they're doing all that stuff. Justin Herbert, Mike Williams doesn't stay in LA if it isn't for Herbert. Patrick Mahomes, and like so many of these guys are trying to stay on their teams and trying to make their way to that team. And when you look at Baltimore, you see the exact opposite. People are leaving.
Tyreek Hill left Patrick Mahomes for friggin' Tua. For
He
Tua.
left for money, right? But he tried to make it work. If he wanted to leave,
they weren't going to pay him.
Exactly. He didn't leave because he wanted to leave, right? Like Marquise Brown is nowhere near getting paid, and he requested a trade not this offseason, but it came out that he requested it last year, and they kept it under wraps, and he played a whole season with a trade request with the promise that they were going to trade him in the offseason.
So do you think they wind up paying Lamar at any point, or do you think this is a Kirk Cousins situation and they're going to let it run out and then they're going to either trade him or let him? I mean, you can't let him walk. You'd have to trade him. I feel like
they're gonna. I think in-house they believe in Lamar. Mm-hmm. And you should, right? The guy got an MVP. There's too many things saying that you should believe in Lamar when you look at it from as a perspective of like in-house for the Baltimore Ravens, right? Mm-hmm. But my thing is I just look at Lamar as another one of those. I think a great example is a Mike Vick. Not because Mike Vick had one of the best left arms in football ever. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't allow left-armed quarterbacks anymore because no one's going to be as good as Mike Vick with his left arm. Like it's just, we're done with it. Like Mike Vick he was a human joystick quite literally. Mm-hmm. Right. But my biggest thing is every year after the MVP year, mm-hmm. his production has gone down every year. The league, in my opinion, has figured out Lamar. It's my last thing here. And word for word, what I wrote in my notebook was league has figured out Lamar Jackson. Saleh is a great defensive-minded coach. With this much tape on Lamar at this point, we should be able to just eliminate him from the game because what options does he have? J.K. Dobbins is looking like he might not play. Gus Edwards is looking like he might not play. So you're telling me their number one running back is Kenyon Drake? I'm not worried about that. And if you double team, if you pull the thing that I've heard everybody say, which is you put Bryce Hall as a slot corner just to cover tight ends. I'm cool with that. If you tell Bryce, you're going to cover Mark Andrews, Jordan Whitehead, you're going to cover the top of him. That's it. You double team him the whole game. Who's he going to throw the ball to? I'm not worried about Rashad Bateman. I'm not worried about Duvernay. I'm not worried about I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name. Proch, whatever. Like, I feel so much more comfortable with any of those guys going one-on-one with literally anybody else on our defense. Michael Carter II will shut down Proche, whatever his name is. Sauce is that dude, you know.
Dude, like, I'm just concerned like Vic. So I shouldn't say Vic, but the Lamar Jackson is so lethal. Not on that initial route. It's the 5 seconds go by and now receivers are running wild. The tight end finds some space. Lamar just puts his foot in the ground and takes off. Like if you can keep Lamar throwing, I think we have a fighting chance. I think if Lamar starts running, it's going to be a long day because he's going to get in favorable downs and distances. This isn't like a statue quarterback that throws an incompletion. Like Lamar's going to run and scamper for 4 yards. And then it's going to wind up being like, okay, now they're in, maybe a 3rd and 2 instead of a 3rd and 6. And it changes the way you call that play. So Lamar for me is he's such an oddity. There's not another quarterback like him in the league that I can think of.
No. And that's the thing, right? There isn't. He is the outlier when it comes to the quarterback position because he has the size of a tight end and he has the speed of a running back and the ability and the change of direction of a slot corner. But the biggest thing that he doesn't have is you're not scared of when he has to throw the ball, right? Like the biggest thing, like Aaron Rodgers standing still in the pocket is probably the scariest thing on the face of the planet. Tom Brady with time in the pocket is the scariest thing on the planet. And both of those guys, when I look at it, they don't have the athletic ability. They're not going to run. Tom Brady running should be a crime against humanity. It looks that bad. It looks like
it's awkward.
Like he gallops. He doesn't run. He just it's a weird whatever, right? But my thing that I look at is I look at it and I go, their offensive line has 1, maybe 2 players that I look at and I go, these are solid guys. And it's their right guard is a solid guy. They drafted Tyler Linderbaum to come in and be their center of the future. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to play week 1 because he's still hurt. We
I
know
got
what
Morgan
Morgan
Moses,
Moses
right?
is.
I
We know
like
what
Morgan
Morgan
Moses.
Moses is.
He's fine.
Not
He's
in pass
fine.
pro.
He's fine.
Not
They're
in
gonna
pass
run.
pro.
You're not afraid of him passing.
But what I'm saying is, even on the run, dude, I'm good with you taking it on the run. Like,
Yeah.
you were facing like Jabari Zuniga all last year, Morgan Moses during practice.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what you're going to look like when you're having to go up against Jermaine Johnson, when you're having to go up against Carl Lawson and all of that stuff. And the other big part of me is Lamar Jackson's blind side, the left tackle and left guard are suspect. They're really, really suspect. So I just look at it and I go, this defensive line that we have is going to be so disruptive up the middle that if they ever decide to take a passing down, we're going to be in his face immediately. And if he tries to escape, we have Quan Alexander and CJ Mosley, two guys that are so good at that read and react part of the defense that we want to run, that I look at it and I go, I'm not that worried about it. You can drop 5 guys in coverage, drop Quincy into coverage or Jamian into coverage, whatever one you decide you want to play as linebacker 3. For me, I think Jamian won my heart in preseason. Drop him into coverage, have Quan and CJ kind of both be that like read and react to see who's going to be open and see what's going to figure it out. And he doesn't get more than 3 or 4 yards. And it's just like, it's a battle of attrition. He's going to get hit so much that he's going to take a second step and he's going to be like, hey, maybe running here isn't the best option. Maybe I should try to fit it into a window with Rashad Bateman because I have to get paid this year essentially, or they're going to franchise tag me. And I don't want to get hurt because the Jets are hitting me 25 times a game because my offensive line is kind of a turnstile. I just look at this offense and I go, the only thing that I'm worried about is Lamar Jackson's legs and Mark Andrews. And I think we have solutions to both of those problems because everything else is manageable.
See, that's an interesting way to look at it because it's not really where I was going. I was always kind of thinking Lamar is such a highlight reel that he's just going to cause a bunch of problems. But I think it is realistic. If Dobbins isn't playing, if Gus Edwards isn't playing, if Linderbaum's not playing, and you're kind of seeing like, all right, well, what is this defense going to look like on the other side of the ball? Because you got Peters coming back. You got like, injuries across the board. You have a young Kyle Hamilton back there. How is he going to perform in his first game?
That's one of the things I have on the Ravens defensive side of the ball. If we're switching over, is that they were, I think, the second most hurt team behind only the New York Jets last year, specifically on defense. And they lost a lot of really good players last year. And Marcus Peters was out for, I'm almost positive, the whole year last year. The real thing that if you're going to try to beat the defensive side of the ball there is you got to try to take advantage of the fact that they play a 3-4. You got to try to take advantage of the fact that 3 of their front 5 guys are over 30, right? Calais Campbell is like 36 or no. Yeah. Houston is 33, I believe. Or is it the other way around?
Right.
And then, Justin Houston is 33. Calais Campbell is 37.
36.
36. You're right.
Just turned 36 on the first.
36. Michael Pierce is going almost to turn 30. So you're looking at it and you go, there's a lot of age on what's supposed to be their rush, right? Maybe youth wins out because I think we have one of the best interior offensive line groups in the NFL. The real concern I have with that defense is honestly going to be Houston and Odafe Owe, because Owe's legit. I really like him. And him versus a 37-year-old Dwayne Brown constantly scares me. And that's why, like, you mentioned it a lot in your stream, which is like, oh, Zach Wilson shouldn't play. We should make sure that he's 100% healthy. I look at it and I go, if Zach Wilson can move, even if it's not at 100%, right? If Zach Wilson feels comfortable moving out of the pocket and extending plays that way, I would say that you're like, we will bench you immediately if you ever cross the line of scrimmage. We'll bench you. Joe Flacco will cut. If you cross the line of scrimmage, you're getting benched. But like, if he can move, I would say Zach Wilson needs to start because that's something what if we added that same element that you just talked about with Lamar Jackson with the, what if we extend it 3, 4, 5 seconds? We saw it in the Tennessee game, right? He's directing traffic. He goes long, touched it. Like it's that's what we want to see, right? Is those plays from Zach Wilson. And my thing is, I look at it and I go, as much as I fear the bone bruise, not the surgery, but as much as I fear the bone bruise turning into something a little bit more seriously, if we can manage the expectation of like him being able to run and move and be dynamic that way, I would love to see him do it, because ultimately this is a brand new defense. They're going to have the same question marks that we have at defense, which is like, it's a whole new roster on defense for us. It's the same thing here. Marcus Williams was on the Saints last year. Kyle Hamilton is a brand new rookie. Marcus Peters didn't play at all. I'm pretty sure Houston and Pierce were on different teams last year. So, and I think their linebackers were both on different teams last year. I don't remember, but essentially they've got a lot of new faces on that defense, and they're still walking in kind of hurt. And I know that I'm in the minority here, but I don't believe in Kyle Hamilton. I was not a Kyle Hamilton fan. Him as a safety makes no sense for me. He just can't do it well. If he plays a box safety, if he plays Jamal Adams up on the box, read and react and covering tight ends only, that's where he strives. But if you're telling me that they have any inkling of thought of putting him in coverage, I'm throwing Elijah Moore at him immediately. Every single play. Elijah Moore, see that 6 foot, you're just gonna do a double move and you're gonna destroy his ankles, and he's not gonna be able to catch up with you because he's too big. He's just not gonna stay with you.
Did you see? I think it was a training camp video. I don't think it was preseason, but there's a video of a receiver just torching Kyle Hamilton
one-on-one right up on the line. And it's just dude, like, I have faith in every single one of our wide receivers that if Kyle Hamilton steps up to the line, bye-bye. And if you see him constantly doing that, I wasn't the biggest Lawrence Cager fan, but Cager's fast for a tight end. Put him in. He's got hands. You put him in against Kyle Hamilton. Like, that's...
God, now you're getting me hyped up. That's not where I thought this was going to go. I think if the Jets can rush 4 and they can drop, the rest of their guys into coverage, now it forces Lamar to throw. You keep one guy spying Lamar so that way he doesn't get away, because all you got to do is have, the offensive tackle push your edge around Lamar and he steps up and scampers. But if you can play some kind of zone in the flat where you don't have to worry about those, maybe the tight end opportunities, maybe
I'm
we
not
have a
saying
chance.
that we go in beating them, right? I'm not trying to say that 100% we beat the Ravens but my thing is a lot of people, and a great example of this is like in the chat is just Gilbert Farmer. I love the Jets and all, but let's be realistic. The Jets have absolutely no chance against the Ravens. They are a much better team right now. Tigo sounds ridiculous suggesting otherwise. And I go, where are they that much better than us? Where on this football team are they so much better than us that it will carry them to a victory? Because you say Marcus Williams is a better safety than what we've got? I'm on board. I agree with you. I wanted him in the offseason. You're going to tell me that Mark Andrews is a better tight end than what we have in the building? Absolutely. I'm on board with what you have. I'll even listen to say that Lamar Jackson right now is a better quarterback than what Zach Wilson is. Absolutely. I hear you. But outside of those 3 players, what are you scared of on this team? Calais Campbell at 38. Calais Campbell at 40 million years old.
Until they stop playing well. Dude, this defense is filthy for them. That's the thing that gets me. Like, I think this is a strong defense.
It's going to be a game of whose defense messes up the least. That's
it's
going to be a tug of war, and it's going to be what's the defensive coordinator in Baltimore? It's just slipped my mind.
It's not Wink. Wink's with
no, he left.
He's with the Giants now. They
got my gosh.
I'll look it up real quick.
Baltimore, BC. Martindale.
No, Martindale's gone.
Isn't it?
No, Wink went to it's Mike McDonald.
No, it's Mike McDonald. Yeah. I'm reading Mike McDonald and I still said Martindale. Like I'm literally reading it. But like Martindale is a good defensive coordinator. He knows what he's doing, but it's McDonald. Sorry, I said Martindale again. Jesus. He's still like good in that situation, but I just look at it and I go, I know I have one of the hottest takes of any of the Jets YouTubers on the planet, which is Elijah Moore. I believe in Elijah Moore so much that I have come out and said, and I know that this is ridiculous for me to say, but I'm saying it. I believe in the kid this much that he is wide receiver 1 in the AFC East.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm saying it.
Diggs
Above Diggs
over
and
Tyreek.
Hill and Waddle and all of them. I don't care. I love Elijah Moore that much, and I believe in him that much. And I know it's a hot take, guys. Let me start by saying I know in my heart of hearts that that's a hot take. But that being said, like, I just believe in this team and the things that we've built. And ultimately, I think the game is going to come down to what is this defense going to do? Because we don't know what to expect from Marcus Peters coming back from injury. We don't know what we're going to see from Marcus Williams in a whole new team and in a whole new scheme. How many players have we seen leave a team that they're really good with and go be bad? How many players have we seen be bad with one team, go to another one and be really, really good? So we don't know what to expect out of Marcus Williams. And they've got a lot of turnover on that defensive side of the ball, including a brand new defensive coordinator. So it's a lot of turnover there. And the one thing that the Jets have is continuity. It's the same scheme. And while we are adding a couple of new pieces to this team, it's a lot of pieces that we're running almost identical schemes to what we run now. DJ Reed ran almost the same scheme that we ran in that we run in Seattle. Jordan Whitehead's that good that he's actually coming from a different scheme. Todd Bowles runs a different defense. I get that. And he's got to learn something new. But we're bringing CJ back, Quincy back, Jamian back. We've got Carl Lawson who missed time, but he was here and he knows the scheme the whole well. Quinnen's coming back. Solomon Thomas came from San Francisco before he was in Las Vegas. So he knows the scheme. So I just look at this and I go, we don't have as much turnover as Baltimore does. And this game should be feisty is the best way to say it. This game should be interesting. We should definitely be able to say, you know what? Who knows what's going to happen here? Who knows what we're going to see? Who knows what this team can or cannot do? The idea that we're so totally out of this game boggles me, because then are you a Jets fan or are you not a Jets fan? We don't have Adam Gase as a head coach, right? Let's be honest here. When are you going to start believing in this team? Are you just going to be once we win a Super Bowl, then I'm going to believe in them? It's just it's not how this works, right?
Well, I think for me, I'm looking at the preseason. I'm seeing how the starting offense performed. And I know the preseason isn't everything, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't concerned. It just didn't seem like we were clicking yet. A lot of things have to happen. There's been a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of turnover, but there's been a lot of additions across the board as well. So you're switching Fant from left to right. You're switching AVT from left to right. You're bringing in Tomlinson. You're bringing in Dwayne Brown. All these guys now are essentially learning to play together for the first time, even though they're not, rookies. This is the first first offensive line we haven't had a rookie on in a few years now. So that's an area of concern. Breece Hall didn't really look great in preseason. And I think that's a symptom of the offensive line not gelling right away. And that's part of why I would prefer Zach not to start right away. I think if you let the offensive line gel for a week or two, it might, produce some better results. Receiver wise, I'm not afraid. Tight end wise, not afraid. I do think Conklin's going to be tight end 1 for us.
I think he already is.
Dude, he's good. He's really good. I'm watching fantasy drafts and this dude's not getting drafted and I'm flabbergasted. You know what? Pick him up on waivers. It's great. Defensive wise, I've got a lot of hope for our edge rush and a lot of hope for our defensive line. I think that's where we need to make our bread and butter. And I think this secondary is vastly improved. Now, I don't know if we're going to be so much more improved on defense in the areas that critically hurt us last year. That's the running quarterback and it's the screen game. Running backs are just going to chew up our linebackers. Now, I do think the addition of Quan Alexander was a much needed shot in the arm. And I think that will help a bit, but CJ Mosley's still a little slow. Quincy Williams, still a little bit of a dum-dum, making, hitting people out of bounds, doing things he shouldn't be doing. I don't know. I want to see them beat a team they shouldn't. Like, to me, the Bengal win last year was an aberration. I think they fell asleep on us.
It
I
was the
think
Mike White Hall of Fame game, right? There was no one
yeah,
that shouldn't have happened.
for me, the best game we played, or the best game I saw like Zach play, I feel like was the Bucks game.
Yes.
That's the one that sticks out to me as like, you know what? This guy's got it. He's going to figure it out. He just went toe to toe with that defense. He went toe to toe with Tom Brady. Like, that to me is where I hope our team could be, plus the addition of all the talent that we were just talking about. This secondary entirely different, edge rush entirely different from last year. So there's a lot of what if. And I think there's some people that'll sit out there, and if the Jets come out and they beat the Ravens, like let's say it's like a 30-24 game and the Jets like put them away, you're going to see a lot of people start hyping up the Jets because it's not where they expected this young team to be at this particular point in time in their development.
I agree. I always said throughout this offseason, before the draft, before the anything, where everyone was doing the easy thing, which was just taking the easy shot at the Jets. And I'm just like, did anybody expect the 4-12 Bengals to go to the Super Bowl? Especially in that division? Like, and I'm not saying that the Jets are going to go to the Super Bowl, but are you really going to tell me that the Jets can't go out and win 9 games? The Jets can't go out and win 10 games? Looking at
if
this,
Zach Wilson has a Joe Burrow type leap or a Josh Allen type leap, the Jets have the talent around him. Like, if we had a quarterback, like a legit bona fide, like that dude's the dude, I would say this is a playoff team. What if with Zach is such a major piece to this whole puzzle.
Yeah.
And like, even if Flacco plays, like, I think he's a big enough question mark at his age and at like I feel like it's really tough to win in this league as a statue. Like, the last guy is really Brady and like Matt Ryan. That's like it for me. Like, even when you look at Aaron Rodgers, he stays in the pocket, but he's mobile. He runs way more than Manning or Brady ever ran.
No, absolutely. I think you're right. I think like a great example would be like if we had Herbert on this team, 12-win team. Yeah. We're that good everywhere else. The biggest question mark is Zach. And that's where I look at it and I go, because there is such a big question mark on Zach, I'm not going to say that we're a lock for the playoffs. That's why my expectation this year is 9 to 10 wins. Because I think we can fail our way into 9 or 10 wins with this team, with the back half of the roster, now the back half of the schedule that we have, we should easily be able to, with how weak New England looks, we should easily be able to do 9 wins, especially with, like, again, our hardest part is the front half of our schedule. But no matter what, you gotta play the games, right? No one expected us to beat Tennessee. No one expected us to beat the Bengals. No one expected us to take Tom Brady down to a 2-minute march all the way down. And then with like a minute and 19 left for Zach to take us all the way back up, and a rookie mistake cost us that game. Because that's what it was, right? If Zach hands it to Berrios, everybody saw it clear as day. He's in. He beats the linebacker to the edge. We get that touchdown. So I look at it and I go, I'm not going to sit here and say that week 1, we're going to win. Week 1, this coming Sunday, mark it in your calendars. It's a win. But this game should be competitive. We are at a point where we should be competitive. And that's kind of my point, is the Ravens aren't the Buffalo Bills, where I look at it and I go, yeah, that's a game. There's a lot of question marks in Baltimore. There isn't very many in Buffalo. We know what Buffalo is. And that's where I look at it and I go, if we lost twice to Buffalo, I'm not going to be that upset, because Buffalo is like the number 1 ranked team in the AFC East. Or not in the East, but the AFC, just period. And so
they should be the 1 seed this year, especially with that West looking the way it is.
Absolutely. So before you get out of here, 2 questions. Let's go park it over to the chat. Parker Dugan, are y'all confident that Zach will be the guy, or the guy, as he put it in there?
I think he is the most talented quarterback that we've had since Joe Willie Namath. I think he has the potential to be that guy. I think we saw the growth that he made, not even just on like a the overall like wow plays or things like that. It's the smaller things. It's the running up to the line of scrimmage to catch 12 guys on the field. It's the hard count to get a guy to jump off sides. It's the knowledge of, hey, I ran towards the line of scrimmage, flipped the ball forward, and it wound up being an interception one time. Like a game or two later, you saw him do the same thing, but then he held on to it and took, I don't know if it was a 1-yard sack or a 1-yard gain, whatever it was, lives to fight another down. I think you're seeing the mental side of Zach's game fall into place. And I think if he can match that up and just process things, like if he can react as opposed to needing to read and then react, I think you'll see where Zach Wilson can shine. And I think he can be the guy. It's just a matter of if he puts all the pieces together.
I think you answered it perfectly in the sense of it's all of the stuff that you don't get credit for as a quarterback that wins you games, right? It's the things that you said, the running up to the line of scrimmage, the living to fight another down. In the beginning of the year, we saw all of those what I like to call, for your entire football career, you were by far and away the best player on your team syndrome, right? It's in high school, he was probably by far and away the best quarterback in his conference of high school football teams, right? And then you go into college where you're playing at BYU, which isn't a great conference. And whatever it is, you're probably the best quarterback on that team. He started playing games in his freshman year. He was the go-ahead starter his sophomore year. His junior year, they just really tried to mess with him because he had the shoulder surgery, but he was still the best quarterback on that team. And then you get to the NFL, and not only are you not the best quarterback in your division or in your conference, there is a good to fair chance you're not even the best player on your freaking team. And it's you start seeing that like, oh crap, like I'm not facing Utah corners. I'm facing, all Pro Bowl corners twice a year in Buffalo. And you start towards the end of the year, you start seeing, just like you were saying, he holds onto the ball and takes a sack because he knows that the interception costs more points in the long game than the 1 yard he loses, because in the next play, he can just go out and make up for that yard. Or I'm going to scramble, and instead of trying to fit the ball in a window that I'm almost positive I can fit it in between 3 guys to the 1 guy, I'm just going to throw it away, and I'm going to live to see another down. If we add a slide to his repertoire and stop doing the fall forward thing, it's the full circle of it's the live to see another down. And those are the things, because we all knew going into the draft that Zach was by far and away the most talented quarterback prospect in this draft. When you look at athleticism, arm strength, all of that stuff, it's the little things that he's got to get better at. And I think the back 10 games that we saw from him really made me believe that he's the guy. That's when I bought his jersey, was on the back of those 10 games, because I don't buy jerseys of players until I believe in them. That's why I have an Elijah Moore jersey coming in. So I have a Sauce Gardner jersey coming in. I don't need to see a game of Sauce to believe in Sauce. But it's one of those things where I do think that he can be the guy. It's ultimately now on Mike LaFleur's plate to make him that guy, because we have the talent. And if they can beat it into his head, hey, stop doing stupid things, then we can see something turn around in Zach, and he can be the guy for us. One more question by Mr. Pickle Pants. Great name. Do you think we will re-sign Quinnen Williams when his contract is up?
So he's going into his 4th season. We've exercised his 5th-year option. So he's on the team for next year, regardless. I would like to re-sign Quinnen. To me, he's a guy that has a ton of talent. My concern is if there's any truth to this like 45%, 50% type of like snap share, and that's what you're using him for. Like, I would not re-sign him for $20 million if he's playing 45% of the snaps. If you're paying a dude that much money, I want to see 75 to 85% of the snaps. I want you on the field every damn play. Now, I hope we get to see that. I hope we get to see 10 sacks. If he gets 10 sacks, no question, re-signing him all damn day. We haven't re-signed a first-round pick since Muhammad Wilkerson. It's time.
Wow.
I think that's the last one we did.
I'm trying to go back. I think you're right.
Because Darren Lee,
traded Sam.
We did not. We traded Sam. We traded Jamal.
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
Quentin Coples.
He's gone. Wow. No, yeah, I think you're right.
Wilson. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Muhammad Wilkerson was the last first-round pick we re-signed.
That's crazy. That's a crazy stat to think about.
Sucks.
Yeah, no, it does.
That's why we have so much cap space.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. I am on the bandwagon of the fact that Quinnen Williams does not have a contract extension right now is going to cost the Jets more money. This is the first time.
I think he's going to have a wow season this year.
Yeah.
You're right.
I wrote an article. I write for a Jets publication called The Jets Joint, and I wrote an article about us not signing Quinnen Williams this offseason to do the same thing that they did with like Patrick Mahomes, right? Where they took the 5th-year option and then they extended him beyond like that kind of contract extension. The fact that we didn't do something like that with Quinnen Williams is going to, in the long run, cost the New York Jets more money because for the first time, I'm just speaking this out into existence. For the first time in Quinnen Williams' career, he's going to line up next to someone who's going to get a double-digit sack. Not once has he ever had a teammate get a double-digit sack. And if you remove his rookie year, he has never been, as an interior player, passed in the sack numbers. He has always been our highest sack total number from any player. And I think last year, him and JFM tied. So, again, the expectation that I think Quinnen Williams is going to come onto the scene and we're going to finally see why he was the 3rd overall pick. There's not a player on the planet not named Aaron Donald that can do it by themselves, right? And I hate that like when people like use the example of these superstar outlier of a players. Like there are 3-4 players in the NFL that carry their teams, right? Everyone else needs a system around them. Tom Brady carries his football teams. Aaron Donald could be the only player lined up on defense and he'll still get sacks. So like the comparison or the belief that, oh, he hasn't been disruptive enough. And I was like, he hasn't had any help at all. You know, there are, like I said, there are 4 or 5 guys on either side of the ball that are going to be disruptive and do their things no matter what. Like on the defensive side of the ball, it's what? TJ Watt, Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett. That's really it.
That are like, I mean, it's got to be an edge rusher, right? Like that. Like those are the guys that you.
Jalen Ramsey, maybe you could put in there because you can't be a lockdown corner anymore.
No, it's tough to have like a lockdown corner be the guy. There's too many good, like 2nd and 3rd receivers to like have to deal with just one corner. That I understand the rationale for maybe guys not wanting Sauce Gardner because of that. But yeah, I mean, defensively, it's got to be the edge rushers: Donald, Garrett, Watt.
Those are really the only guys that are like game changing, like game breakers. You know what I mean? Like, you know that they're going to, in the biggest moment, that they're going to win the game for their defense. It doesn't matter what the play call is because he's on the field. And I don't think that Quinnen is that guy.
Like Bosa is the same way if he's on the field. Either of them. That Chargers defense is going to be interesting with Mac and Bosa.
Yeah, it's just like I said. It's naive of us for the Jets fans that are out there like, oh my gosh, I'm not the biggest fan of Quinnen. We shouldn't re-sign him. I think that's really naive. It's not his fault that pundits are lazy. And when they do their comparisons and all of that stuff, they immediately go to the biggest, baddest name on the planet, right? Because the guy kind of looks like this guy. It's why I never liked the idea of people comparing Zach to Patrick Mahomes. It's just like, why? Why is that the guy? You couldn't go Josh Allen before he had the big explosion of a year. Like there are other quarterbacks. You couldn't go Justin Herbert. Like there are other guys that you can look at that have similar skill sets. Why do you go to the best quarterback in the league? And then you thought, oh, if it's not Patrick Mahomes, we're going to go Aaron Rodgers with legs. That's the 2nd best quarterback in the league. What are you doing here? Like, that's not fair to the kid. It's why I was like, I hated when people were talking about specifically Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum, and they put generational on them. Because like, dude, they're not. They're just insanely good prospects. But Kyle Hamilton is an insanely good, strong safety in the NFL. Like, you don't want the guy in coverage. The FSU game where he turns the corner and beats the guy to the edge, which is the one play that everybody showed. That's the outlier. Go watch every other snap he took. He's not doing that every game. Tyler Linderbaum is undersized. The guy, the kid needs to put in 20, 30 pounds. Now,
he's
when he does
300, he's like 280, I think.
Yeah. I think he was 290 when he came in for
290.
camp. But like, it's one of those things of just like, it's the same thing I didn't like with Trevor Lawrence. I had Zach as my QB1 that year.
Ooh.
I had my order of quarterbacks that I wanted was Zach, Trevor, Trey. If Zach was gone, I wanted Trevor. If somehow one of those guys decides to go back to school, kind of a thing, like I had, those were the guys that I wanted. And so for me, I always hate it when the comparison is like, hey, this is an all-time great that we're comparing you to because you do one thing kind of like him. And it's just, I feel that's lazy. And I think that's what Quinnen Williams has suffered from is being touted as the next Aaron Donald because he played at Alabama and he was one of the most disruptive players in college. And I'm just like, dude, like, nobody's going to be Aaron Donald. Like, can we get that? Like, we're never going to see another quarterback win 7 or 8 rings. It's never going to happen again, ever.
I think the issue with Quinnen is he's not Nick Bosa and he's not Josh Allen. Like, I think the edge rusher is what all the Jet fans were pining for. They were hoping for that. And then the comparisons to Aaron Donald, you're like, okay, well, maybe we get that. And we just haven't seen that. Like, there is only one Aaron Donald for a reason. Like, Quinnen doesn't have to be Aaron Donald. Quinnen could be Quinnen Williams. But if he can get us to 10 sacks consistently, you know, I think he's got the right mindset. I think he wants to be here. I think I like Quinnen a lot. There's a lot to like about this team in general. And I hope we find a way to bring Quinnen back because I do think he's been our best first round pick in a long time.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really, really high on Quinnen. And again, I do fall into the trap of looking at we were talking about this in your chat before before your stream started, where I have a tendency to look at the New York Jets with Gotham green colored glasses or stealth black goggles were the two that we came up with. And I do have a tendency to look at my team optimistically, but I also feel like when I do the expectation part of it, I believe in the players that are on my team because I believe in my team. I didn't believe in the Todd Bowles eras because I didn't believe in Mike McCagnon. I didn't believe in the Adam Gase years. I hope that we could overcome him. Yeah, that's it. I was trying to find a polite way to say it, but why? He's coaching a high school team, right? Whoever started that rumor needs $1 million because that's hilarious. But it's just one of those things where, like, now that I can finally say that I believe in this front office. I believe in 3 of our 4 coordinators / head coaches because I got a medium-sized question mark on Jeff Ulbrich. Like, now that I can say I believe in the staff, now I can really, and the players, now I can start looking at this team and going like, realistically, I think this. And I don't know. I've had a pretty, I'm batting pretty good this offseason on my assumptions. The one thing that I will say that I was wrong on 2 things this offseason, and I was so wrong on them. And I'm so happy that I was wrong on them was 1, we took Sauce Gardner 4. I didn't want Sauce Gardner 4. I wanted Jermaine 4. And the fact that we got Jermaine at 26 or 24 or whatever it was, I wanted to build the JD statue then, right? Because Sauce was
freaking out. I was so happy for that.
Sauce was my number 1 player in the draft. I wanted Sauce. I just couldn't see how we would be able to fix enough holes if we took Sauce, right? I was in that mode. And so there's that. And we got the wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. But that's besides the point. So there's that one. And I'm so happy that I was wrong and that we took Sauce. And the other one for me that I was so totally against, and he came onto this team and shut me up almost immediately, was Quan Alexander. I did not want Quan Alexander. I was scared of his injury history. I was scared that he was going to be missing a step. And everything that I see coming out of training camp and out of preseason and out of everything is that, you do not know what you're talking about when it comes to linebackers. Shut up. This guy can do it, and he can do it well. And you better be praying to whatever you pray to that he's on your team. And those are the 2 things that I was wrong. But outside of that, I was batting pretty good. I said that Bam Knight was going to get cut for Connor McDermott. I called that the moment the 53-man roster came out. I said, Bam Knight's great and all, but we're not cutting him now because we know that if we wait to cut him, he's going to clear waivers because teams are going to be more solidified. They're going to have gone through a couple of practices already. I was just like, I know we're going to cut Bam Knight. I was wrong on the Lawrence Cager thing, but I think he's gone once we like, if we want to bring in another linebacker or something like that. But I've been batting pretty well on the whole, like, I knew Will Parks was going to get cut. I was like,
Mhm.
he's going to get cut. But I thought Will Parks was going to get cut so that we can keep Pinnock, because I never thought Ashton Davis was going to leave.
I was
But
shocked.
dude, you can't give up on that level of athleticism.
Well, that's the reason they didn't, right? Like they think it's more of a problem on the coaching staff for not being able to mold that little block of clay that is Ashton Davis.
You just can't give up on an uber elite athlete like that in 2 years. But I know you got to get out of here. One last thing that I want to say before you got out of here is I just wanted to say one, thank you obviously for coming onto the stream and being a part of it. But the other reason that I wanted to, and why I think it's so cool to have you on, is because you are actually the reason I started a YouTube channel. When you were originally doing your call-in shows in the pre-draft process, I don't know if you remember this, but before you had the timer, I called into the show, and we were on the show for like 8 minutes talking about wide receivers. And the very next week is when you introduced the timer, and I'm like, that's me. I did that. He did it because I kept him on the phone for 8 minutes. But we had like an 8-minute conversation about like George Pickens and Christian Watson and all the round 2 receivers, because you were on the boat of you take Sauce and you take JJ at 4 and 10 and you get a second round wide receiver. And I was like, you either take the cornerback or the edge, and you have to take the wide receiver, because of if these guys are, if our round 1 wide receivers are round 2 wide receivers in every other draft, and these round 2 wide receivers are round 3 wide receivers in every other draft, give me the best wide receiver on the board, which was Garrett Wilson in my eyes, or Drake London, whichever one you wanted. I'll take either one but we had an 8-minute conversation. And when like we hung up the phone, I was just like, man, I love talking Jets so much. And I live in Florida, and there's no one to talk Jets about. That the very next week I did my first video, and then I changed the name to Talking Jets with Higo like 3 or 4 days after that. And so it's really cool to kind of have it come full circle, to be able to say like, hey, our conversation and us being able to talk Jets was something that inspired me so much to start my channel. And now I'm having you on my channel. It's a really, really cool full circle thing. So thank you, 1, for being on the channel, and thank you, 2, for inspiring the channel. And for this thing doesn't exist if it wasn't for the conversation that we had together.
Wow, that really means a lot. That's absolutely flattering. It's the greatest kind of thing I could possibly hear. I love talking Jets. The whole reason I started my channel was because my wife was going to kill me.
Yeah, I can't do it with my wife.
I was like, I got to find someone else to talk Jets with. And, just finding and meeting different people along the way and having the conversations we have, because that's the best thing about sports is like, I could be totally wrong. I've been wrong on so many free agents. I wanted Le'Veon Bell in the worst way. Wrong. Same. I was like super pumped on, oh God, who was the friggin' edge rusher before? Ja'Kai Polite. I was like, oh man, we drafted this dude. This guy's going to be awesome.
I was like, that was Zuniga. I was so high on Zuniga. One, because he came from Florida, right? And I was like, yes, we got a Florida. And I'm not even a Florida fan. I'm a UCF fan. That's where I go to school. Like, and I'm just like, but we got a Florida kid. We're going to the Super Bowl. Jamar Zuniga's gonna carry this defense. I was so high on him, and I was so wrong on him. I was like, oof, dang. And he finally started putting it together. But like, it's just, that's the point of being a Jets fan. It's fun to be wrong. It's fun to be right. And it's just the ebbs and flows, and that's why we do it, right? Like, hell
yeah. Yeah, dude, absolutely. Dude, that means a whole lot to me. That was really cool. And thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you for being on. Like, it's hard. I've been trying to get collabs, and it's hard to get people to be interested and have the time, because everyone's got a life, and not everyone has the ability to, I'm kind of blessed being a stay-at-home papa. And when my wife comes home, all she wants to do is take care of the baby. So I get some free time in the evenings, but it's been really, really cool, the channel growth and all of that stuff. And like I said, the full circle thing. And I just appreciate, like, most people just, when I tweeted at them or when I DM'd them or when I try to message them, like, hey, do you want to do a collab? Like, we can do it on your channel. We can do it on my channel. We can do whatever you want. I just want to talk Jets with people. Like, let's just have conversations about the New York Jets. Let's have a good time. And the ghosting and everything like that is a little bit demoralizing, but that's not why I did this, obviously. But to have you reach out and say, hey, like, let's do it, and we'll do it Monday, and we'll do it all that thing, especially in the short turnaround time. I really, really appreciate you doing this. I hope that it's not the last time that we talk to each other and that we keep
sure
having these conversations and all that stuff. But I really, really do appreciate you stopping by and all that stuff. If you guys haven't, I don't know why I'm going to say this. I don't know why. This is YouTube Jets royalty right here, right? If you're not subscribed to Ryan at Jets Talk 24/7, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit the subscribe button on his channel. He is if you go to my channel, under channels, he's the first channel there. So you're going to hit the subscribe button there. And the second thing you're going to do if you're not subscribed to me, if you're subscribed to me and not subscribed to him, is you're going to immediately go to the hospital and get a CT scan. Something's wrong. Something's wrong up in there. You got to get it fixed. Again, thank you so much for stopping by. If you want to take this 30 seconds or whatever to say whatever you want to the 16 people that came to hang out, I'd appreciate it. But if not, thanks for stopping by.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on. Love talking Jets. Talk anytime. I've got my Talking Jets panel tomorrow. O'Leary, Green Bean, myself doing a pick'em league. So if anyone wants to get into some pick'em throughout the year, could jump into that. Other than that, I'll just be making videos. It's fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. And it's going to be cool. What we should do is at the end of the season is, because both of our kids will be a little bit older and they'll be able to, and just do like a, here's the new, how was your first season? And just interview our own children.
Absolutely.
And just have them staring at us like, why is it so hot in here? What are all these lights?
Yeah. What is going on?
Where's mom?
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you get to it. I know that you got to go handle things with Shay. Ben just woke up screaming like we killed his dog, even though he's right next to him. So I'm going to go help feed him and change him and do all that stuff. But guys, thank you all for stopping by and being a part of the live stream. I'm going to try to bring in a new guest. Like I said, it's been hard finding people who want to come in and talk. I'm going to try to do this kind of a live stream every week where we bring in a guest and we talk about the upcoming game. Baltimore in like 5 days or whatever. Oh, I can't wait for regular season football. I just want to see Gotham Green get a win, and I'm excited for it. Thank you guys for stopping by the stream. And last but not least, go Jets.